Let me start the today's session. So in the last class, we have seen some examples how to create a pointer to a structure, how to allocate the memory, how to allocate the memory for structure dynamically. Let me show you. So this is the program what we have practiced in the last session. This is the way how to create a pointer to a structure. What about the arrow operator? How to allocate a memory? How to allocate memory to the structure dynamically by using malloc function. Now, there may be a chance to ask even in the interview also, what is the self-referential structures? What is self-referential structure? For example, struct, I want to create one data type with the name called node. Assume like that. Sir, I just want to create one data type. In C language, we don't have any data type with the name called node. With the name called node, I just want to create a data type called node. In that, I want to create a member whose name is a data and this member is of integer type. General ga employee data type ni create చేసేటప్పుడు struct employee and rasi, we will write struct employee, and all the attributes of employees generally we will mention within the structure. Every employee will have employee name, every employee will have employee ID, every employee will have salary. Then after we will decide the data type of these members. Then after we will decide the data type of these members, whether it is integer or float or array of characters. Then after we will decide. In the same way, I just want to create one data type which is not available in C language with the name called node. So this data type should contain one member as a data member of which data type? Integer data type. Now, I'm going to create one pointer also. Sir, every pointer is declared with the pointer declaration operator star. Every pointer will have a name. I'm giving the name PTR. Assume it is the name of the address variable or name of the pointer PTR. Is this pointer, is it pointing to a float? Is it pointing to a character? Is it pointing to an integer? No. I want to make this pointer. I want to make this pointer to point to another node. What is that? This pointer should point to another node. So this is of which data type? Node data type. Sir, node is a language given data type or user defined data type? Sir, it is user defined data type. So struct node star pointer. If you observe very carefully, within a structure definition, if there is a pointer as a member of a structure which will point to the same structure, such a type of structure we can call it as a self-referential structure. Once again I am repeating. Any structure definition that includes a pointer Sir, is this pointer is pointing to whom? This pointer is pointing to the same structure itself. The pointer is pointing to the same structure. If such a pointer is there within the structure definition as a member, such a type of structure we can call it as a self-referential structures. Assume when this type of structure is required, it is our main memory. Sir, I have some value is there 10. I have some other data 27 at some other memory location. There is some 19 at some random memory location. These are all memory blocks arranged not sequentially, they are arranged randomly. I want to link all these data together, all these elements together. I want to link all these elements together. Then what should I do? What will be the address of this memory block? What will be the address of this memory block? Suppose if it is 2000, I can store that address in this box. So this box is referring to this memory block. Sir, if it is the address of this memory block is 1000 or 3000, now I am going to store the address in this box. Now this box is pointing to this one. So in this diagram, whatever I am representing here, whatever I am representing here, sir, it is something called, it is a node. So this concept very soon we are going to discuss. The name itself is a linked list. Linked list. Linked list is a collection of nodes. Sir, linked list is a collection of nodes. Sir, what is a node? Don't get confused. You assume node is like a box divided into two partitions. Sir, one box contains a data part. Another box is pointing to the next box. Sir, this box is pointing to the next box. So these are all linked together, and this collection of nodes we can call it as a linked list. Whenever if you want to implement such a type of things, we require one concept called self-referential structure. Self-referential structure. So what is meant by self-referential structure? Whenever there is a pointer as a member of a structure which will point to the same structure itself, such a type of structures we can call it as a self-referential structure. Now let us start the another topic. Sir, today the agenda will be, we started this course with a name, data structures using C language. But I have not given any explanation about defined data structure. What are the various types of data structures we have? What is meant by ADT? How to measure time complexity? Sir, once if you are familiar with these four terms, after completion of discussing these four terms, we are going to start another very important topic is sorting techniques. Sir, if you want to know about the sorting techniques, first you should familiar with the following terms called defined data structure, or what is meant by data structure, types of data structures, abstract data type, and a brief idea about the time complexity. One simple example I want to tell you. Assume you have around 25,000 files in your office. Sir, 25,000 files are there in your office. But your clerk or accountant or administrator not organized them in proper way. All the files are not organized in a proper way. Sir, if they are not organized in a proper way, suddenly I got a requirement. Suddenly I got a requirement. What is my requirement? I want expenditure related file. Expenditure related file. If they are not properly organized, how much time it will take for me to search for expenditure related file out of 25,000 file? It may take 1 hour, it may take 1 day, it may take even 1 week also. There is no guarantee there. Are you getting my point here? Sir, if the files are not properly organized, when there is a sudden requirement with some file, for searching that file, it takes more time. Then, if you observe in any office, files are organized in various racks. Sir, assume if it is an iron rack, it has been divided into so many subdivisions. All the income tax related files will be kept here. Expenditure related, the files are kept here. Sir, employee salaries related files are kept here. Employee promotions files are kept here. And any other files are kept here. Now, can you please tell me what is your requirement? A file expenditure related file. Now, am I required? Do we require to search out of 25,000 files? No. The files are properly organized. You need to verify whatever the number of files you kept in this rack. Out of those files, you are supposed to get one file which you require. It saves a lot of time. The job will become very easy if you organize them in a perfect order. So, I hope everyone understood what is a data structure with this example. Sir, data structure, it is the term data structure means it is a particular way of, it is a way of organizing the data. Sir, it is the way of organizing the data in computer. Suppose I have huge volume of data bus. Suppose I have huge volume of data. I have huge volume of data. When this huge volume of the data, if it is not properly organized, sir, if it is not properly organized, you can't access the data in an efficient manner. 25,000 files ni oka proper ga oka paddhatilo arrange cheyakapote నీకు ఒక చిన్న రిక్వైర్మెంట్ వచ్చింది, ఒక ఫైల్ పెట్టాలి లేకపోతే ఒక ఫైల్ వెతకాలి అని. నీకు ఎంత డిఫికల్ట్ అవుతుందో టాస్క్, కంప్యూటర్లో కూడా డేటాని కనుక ప్రాపర్గా మనం ఆర్గనైజ్ చేయకపోతే ఫర్దర్ ఆపరేషన్స్ ఆన్ ద డేటా, రిట్రీవింగ్ ద డేటా and many more operations we can't perform efficiently. So to perform any operation efficiently, we are supposed to organize the data, and the way of organizing the data in the computer to use that data efficiently, and that part or that concept we can call it as a data structure. So everybody, what is the data structure? Way of organizing the data in computer so that it can be used effectively. It can be used effectively. Now, let us come to the types of data structure. Data structures has been classified into two types basically. Physical data structures. Next one, logical data structures. Now, can you please tell me what is the concept of data structure? Organizing the data, storing the data in the memory effectively, or in a organized way so that we can perform operations effectively. So these two concepts together, we can call it as a data structure concept. ఎంత ఆర్గనైజ్డ్గా డేటాని నువ్వు మెమరీలో స్టోర్ చేస్తావు సో దట్ ఆపరేషన్స్ని మనం ఎంత ఎఫిషియెంట్గా మనం పెర్ఫామ్ చేయగలం. ఈ రెండింటిని కలిపి మనం డేటా స్ట్రక్చర్ అంటాం. నౌ సార్, ద టైప్స్ ఆఫ్ డేటా స్ట్రక్చర్, physical data structure and logical data structure. Physical data structure deals with how the data is going to be stored in the memory. Physical data structure deals with how the data is going to be stored in the memory. So physical data structure defines how the memory is reserved, and physical data structures defines or decides how the memory is organized. So physical data structures mostly deals with mostly related to memory. Sir, mostly related to memory. That means how data is going to be stored in the memory. Sir, how the data is going to be stored in the memory? Who will take care of? Physical data structure. For example, everybody knows that what is an array. Array is a physical data structure. Sir, linked list is another physical data structure. First of all, physical data structure deals with what? How the data is going to be stored in the memory. The physical data structure will deals with that. Array is a physical data structure and a linked list is a physical data structure. Now, what is the major difference between array and linked list? Sir, when should I go for array? When should I go for linked list? Suppose if you know exact number of elements what you are going to handle. Sir, if you know exact number of elements, then better to go for an array. Sir, better to go for an array. Assume in an application I want to deal with some elements, some 10 elements or 20 elements. I know the exact number. If the number of elements are not known, I am not sure whether I am going to deal with the 10 elements or 20 elements. I am not sure. If the number of elements are not known, then you go ahead with the linked list. Sir, you go ahead with the linked list. What is the drawback? Sir, what is the drawback of an array? Sir, the size of an array is a fixed. Always it is a fixed and it is a static. We can't increase the size. We can't decrease its size. Sir, it is a fixed. Suppose if you declare one array like this, int x of some 5, what is the maximum capacity of this array? 5 will be the maximum capacity. During program execution time, is there any chance to insert another 3 elements into this array? Not possible. Sir, it is not possible. So dynamically it is not growable. We can't increase its size. Its size is always fixed. But all the elements will be given memory blocks continuously. The elements of an array will be stored continuously in the main memory. But the problem is the size of an array is always fixed and it is static but not dynamic. So I have another doubt. Sir, where this array is going to be stored? Where array is going to be stored? Array will be created either in stack area or it will be created in the heap area also. For example, in this case, for this array declaration, array will be created in the stack area or heap area. For this declaration, memory is reserved in the stack area. For example, int star a. Sorry, int star a equals to mlog 10 elements. Every element is of integer, but I don't know what will be the size of integer because that depends on compiler. Some compilers may allocate 2 bytes, some compilers may allocate 4 bytes. After allocating sufficient memory for me during program execution time, it will return base address to me. అంటే స్టార్టింగ్ అడ్రస్ రిటర్న్ చేస్తుంది. ది కంప్యూటర్స్ మెయిన్ మెమరీ అనుకుంటే రన్ టైంలో 10 ఎలిమెంట్స్కి ఎంత మెమరీ కావాలో అంత మెమరీని రిజర్వ్ చేసి out of these memory blocks it will return address of the starting memory block, which we can call it as a base address. But this address will be returned in the form of a void pointer. But on the left hand side, who is receiving? Integer pointer. Is these two pointers are compatible? No. Right side is void, left side is integer. They are not compatible. For that reason, we need to go for typecasting. You need to convert that void pointer temporarily to integer pointer. Now here also we are creating an array only. We are creating an array only. But instead of 10, I can write n here. N value will be provided by using scanf at a runtime. Program runtime lo scanf nannu n కి వాల్యూ ప్రొవైడ్ చేయమని అడిగినప్పుడు నేను 10 అనో 20 అనో 40 అనో 50 అనో ప్రొవైడ్ చేస్తాను. సో ద మెమరీ ఆల్సో విల్ బి రిజర్వ్డ్ డ్యూరింగ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఎగ్జిక్యూషన్ టైం. హౌ మెనీ ఆఫ్ యూ రిమెంబర్? I don't know. When you are allocating the memory dynamically, memory will be reserved not in the stack area, it will be reserved in the heap area. So that is the reason array can be placed either in the stack or in the heap based on your declaration. First of all, what is an array? Sir, an array will come under physical data structure. What is a data structure? Sir, a data structure means organizing the data in memory in an efficient way so that we can perform operations effectively. Data structure is nothing but a way of organizing the data so that it can be utilized or it can be used effectively. So types of data structures, currently we are discussing physical data structure and logical data structure. Array and linked list, they will come under physical data structure. Physical data structure deals with what? They deals with memory. అసలు నువ్వు డేటా మీద ఆపరేషన్స్ పెర్ఫామ్ చేయాలంటే ముందు డేటా స్టోర్ అవ్వాలి కదా. డేటా స్టోర్ అవ్వకుండా మెమరీ బ్లాక్లో వాట్ షుడ్ ఐ డూ? హౌ ద డేటా ఈజ్ గోయింగ్ టు బి స్టోర్డ్, హౌ ద మెమరీ ఈజ్ గోయింగ్ టు బి ఆర్గనైజ్డ్, హౌ ద మెమరీ ఈజ్ గోయింగ్ టు బి రిజర్వ్డ్, హూ విల్ టేక్ కేర్ ఆఫ్? Physical data structure will take care of. Now, when should I go for an array? If I know the exact number of elements, I go for array. If I am not sure how many elements I am going to handle, I can go for linked list. Sir, what is the advantage of linked list over an array? First of all, linked list is nothing but is a collection of nodes. Sir, it is a collection of nodes. Today, at the beginning, we discussed what is a node, what is a self-referential structure. So linked list is a collection of nodes. So all the elements are linked together itself by maintaining a pointer. All the elements are collectively maintained as a list by using some pointer. So in case of linked list, all the elements are not stored in the continuous memory location. They are stored at a different memory location. Array lo elements annitiki sufficient memory reserve avutundi. ఆ మెమరీ బ్లాక్స్ అన్ని కూడా మెయిన్ మెమరీలో ఒకదానికొకటి పక్క పక్కనే ఉంటాయి. బట్ ద ప్రాబ్లమ్ ఈస్ ద సైజ్ ఆఫ్ అన్ array is always fixed, it is static. But the linked list is a dynamic in nature. The size of the linked list is a dynamic. It is a growable in nature, it is a shrinkable in nature. growable and shrinkable. We can increase its size, we can decrease its size. It is a dynamic in nature. Clear? So always remember, arrays will be created either in the stack area or in the heap area based on the way how you are going to declare an array. While coming to the linked list, always memory will be reserved for linked list in the heap area only. Memory reserved for linked list only in the heap area. Now coming to the logical data structure. Sir, coming to the logical data structure. Assume, sir, I stored the data. How the memory is reserved for storing the data, how the memory is organized to store the data. With respect to the memory, who will take care of? My physical data structures will take care of. Sir, once after storing the data, we need to perform certain operation. To perform any operation on the data, sir, to perform any operation on the data, like inserting one value, like deleting one value, I want to search for a value, I want to sort the given list of values, and many more operations. If you want to perform any type of operation, first the data should be stored in the memory. That storing related work, who will take care of? Physical data structures will take care of. Now if you want to perform any operations on the data like inserting, deleting, search for an element, and if you want to sort, arrange all the elements in particular order, and many more operations if you want to perform, you should know the discipline. Sir, you should know the discipline. How you are going to perform all these operations. For that, we require logical data structures. Sir, we require logical data structure. Logical data structure will specify the way or the discipline, how the operations will be performed upon the data. For example, still if you are having any confusion, sir, assume if it is a college will have so many students. Sir, without students taking the online class, taking the offline class, conducting exam, conducting tutorials, conducting seminars, it is all waste of time. Student is the most important data. So the admission team for that college, the admission team will take care of about the students, how they are going to join, and the teaching staff will take care of to perform all these operations. Am I correct or not? So once if the data has been stored in the memory, to perform operations on this data, what we require? Teachers are required. Is the teacher 1, teacher 2, teacher 3, teacher 4? Now all the teachers will follow the same discipline? No. They have their own style. Sir, while delivering the lecture, I have my own style. Some XYZ faculty will have some other style. While conducting an exam, I have my own discipline. Some other faculty will have their own discipline. The way how I can handle is absolutely different from some other faculty. So, physical data structures, they will talk about how the data is going to be stored in the memory. Whereas logical data structures will define how the operations are going to be performed effectively on the data. So what are the various logical data structures? You know, stack, queue, tree, graph, hash table. Sir, these are all come under logical data structures. Sir, these are all come under logical data structures. If a college is having faculty without a student, what should I do? I am ready to perform operations on the data. I have several disciplines like stack, queues, trees, and graphs and hash table. For your kind information, if you want to perform any operation on the data should be stored in the memory. So in order to implement any kind of the following logical data structure, so what we require, physical data structure is required. Sir, what we require? Physical data structure is required. So these logical data structures are implemented by using physical data structure. What are the physical data structures? Sir, array and linked list. So here the stack can be implemented either using array, or you can implement using linked list, or combined, or by using both also. Sir, queue I can implement using array, I can implement using linked list also. So this is the basic difference between physical data structure and logical data structure. Sir, you are saying that your style is different from another faculty, and the discipline of stack is different from the discipline of queue. The discipline of tree is different from discipline of graph. Sir, what discipline stack will flow? What discipline stack will follow? Stack will follow LIFO. Queue will follow FIFO. Both stack and queue, sir, both stack and queue, they will come under linear data structure. The data is organized in the linear fashion. Sir, the data has been organized linear fashion. That is the reason we call it as a linear data structure. Tree and graph, they will come under non-linear data structure. Sir, here the data has been organized not in the linear fashion, they have been arranged in the non-linear fashion. Here the data has been arranged in the tabular structure. Sir, what is mean by LIFO? What is mean by LIFO? Assume, sir, it is some entry gate for a shopping mall. It is a entry gate for car parking for a shopping mall. All the cars should enter through this door only. First car is parked here. Car 1 is parked here. Next, second car is parked here. Sir, third car is parked here. And total, there is a capacity for only 4 cars. Now, what is the car parked last actually? C4. What is the last item entered into this parking zone? Sir, C4. When I want to take out of the car one after another, which car will come first? Either C1 or C4. Sir, there is no door here. It is almost closed, dead end. Sir, it is closed. So whatever the car you have inserted at last, this is the element which will come out first. Last in, first out. Sir, last in, first out. Even in your kitchen also, when you arrange the plates, plate 1, plate 2, plate 3, plate 4, plate 5, the last plate what you inserted, it will come out first. Last in, first out. So stack will follow which discipline? LIFO, last in, first out. Sir, when coming to the queue, assume you have given a series of prints to the printer, a series number of prints, paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, like that. 5 prints you have given to the printer. Sir, which print will come out first? Either paper 5 or paper 1. Which one will come out first? Sir, this P1 will come out first. So in the queue, first in, first out. So even in your ticket counter also, at a ticket counter, so many people will stand in a queue. ఎవడైతే లైన్లో ఫస్ట్ నిలబడతాడో వాడికి టికెట్ బుకింగ్ ఫస్ట్ జరుగుతుంది. He will leave the queue. So who will enter first? He will leaves the queue first. Exactly reverse to the stack. So stack will follow the discipline called LIFO while performing operations on the data. Queue will follow FIFO while performing operations on the data. Sir, LIFO means last in, first out, and queue means first in, first out. So I hope everyone got some basic idea about what is a physical data structure and what is a logical data structure also. Now we will see what is meant by abstract data type. Sir, the term data type defines in like this. Data type is a defined. Data type is a defined like this. The data type is defined how it is represented in the memory, how the data is represented in the memory, how the data is represented in the memory, what are the possible operations we can perform. Together we can call it as a data type. Sir, whenever I talk about the word called a data type specifies how this data is going to be stored in the memory and what are the operations that we can perform on this data. For example, when I say the primitive data type called integer, assume compiler is allocating 2 bytes of memory. Assume like that. 1 byte equals to 8 bits. 2 8s are 16 bits. So 16 bits memory is reserved continuously like this. The last bit I can call it as a leftmost bit, or we can call it as a most significant bit. ఇంటీజర్ ని స్టోర్ చేసేటప్పుడు ఇంటర్నల్ గా 2 బైట్స్ మెమరీ రిజర్వ్ అయితే 2 బైట్స్ అంటే 16 బిట్స్ అనుకుంటే 16 బిట్స్ లో ఈ బిట్ ఎందుకు ఉపయోగపడుతుందంటే టు స్టోర్ ద సైన్ ఆఫ్ ద డేటా, టు స్టోర్ ద సైన్ ఆఫ్ ద డేటా. Now tell me, upon integer what operations I can perform? You can add to integers, you can subtract to integers, you can multiply to integers, you can divide to integers, you can perform modulo division. So many operations you can perform. The way integer is going to be stored in the memory and which operations you want to perform together upon the integer data type, we can call it as a data type. Sir, data type is defined as the way that data will be represented in the memory and what operations we can perform. Together we can define like a data type. Now one small question. When you want to switch on the fan, if you want to switch off the fan, what should we do? First of all, where is the switchboard? Which switch can make the fan to rotate? Which switch can make the fan to stop operating? Interact with the switcher. If you switch on, fan will start working. If you switch off, fan will stop working. Now my question is, fan work అవ్వాలంటే ఈ ఎలక్ట్రికల్ బోర్డు ఏ ఎలక్ట్రీషియన్ బిగించాడు, లోపల ఎన్ని వైర్స్ వాడారు, ఏ కలర్ వైర్స్ వాడారు, ఏ కలరులోంచి మనకి కరెంట్ పాస్ ఆన్ అవుతుంది, దీంట్లో న్యూట్రల్ వైర్ ఏది, సో ఈ కంపెనీని ఎవడు డిజైన్ చేశాడు, ఈ స్విచ్ని ఎంతమంది డిజైన్ చేశారు, ఎన్ని రోజులు పట్టింది, ఈ డీటెయిల్స్ అన్నీ మనకు అవసరమా? డూ వి రిక్వైర్ ఆల్ దీస్ డీటెయిల్స్ టు మేక్ fan to start working, to make a fan to stop working? Do we require to know all these details? Not required. So all these details are hidden from us. In the back side of this switchboard panel, the details are hidden from us. We need not to know all of them. You just interact with the switch. Button on, it will start working. Button off, it will stop working. In the same way, sir, when you want to add two integers, do we require how these operations are going to be performed at a bit level in the memory? Memory level lo, bit level lo అసలు ఈ డేటా ఎలా స్టోర్ అవుతుంది, బిట్ లెవెల్లో జీరోస్ అండ్ వన్స్ లో ఈ డేటా ఎలా యాడ్ అవుతుంది? డూ వి రియల్లీ రిక్వైర్డ్ టు నో ఆల్ దీస్ డీటెయిల్స్? నాట్ రిక్వైర్డ్. హైడింగ్ సంథింగ్ or hiding implementation details is nothing but abstraction. Sir, is nothing but what? Abstraction. Abstraction means hiding implementation details, showing essential functionality, it is nothing but abstract. So together abstract data type means when the language developers are developing some data types, you need not to bother about how they are going to be stored. You need not to bother about how the operations are going to be performed internally. You should concern about which operations you can perform on that data type. We are not bothered about how the data is going to be stored, how the data is going to be stored internally in the memory, and how the operations are going to be performed at a bit level. We are not bothered about that. So with the time being, we could able to generate some of our own data types as a abstract data type. లాంగ్వేజ్ డెవలపర్స్ ఎలా అయితే మనకి ఇంట్ అని ఫ్లోట్ అని క్యారెక్టర్ అనే డేటా టైప్ని డెవలప్ చేసి ఇచ్చారో, మనం ఇంటర్నల్ థింగ్స్ని మనకి కనపడకుండా జస్ట్ డేటా టైప్స్ని యూజ్ చేసుకునే ప్రొవిజన్ ఎలా అయితే ఇచ్చారో, సేమ్ టైప్ ఆఫ్ స్ట్రక్చర్ వి విల్ ట్రై టు ఇంప్లిమెంట్. And such a type of implementation, such a type of data types, what you are going to implement, we can call it as a abstract data type. Now coming to the time complexity, which we will discuss tomorrow as the time is running out. So tomorrow we will discuss what is the time complexity, how we can measure the time complexity for every procedure. And tomorrow we will start so many sorting techniques we have. We will discuss a very few of them and very important sorting techniques, and we will try to calculate the time complexity for every sorting technique if time permits. Right? That's all from my end.